Republican Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, member of the Judiciary and Appropriations Committees. He was also in an all-Senate briefing on the war yesterday. Senator, let's start first of all with the president's pledge of $100 million in aid to the Palestinian territories, Gaza and the West Bank. Clearly, the Palestinians in Gaza are desperately in need of aid, but how to ensure that that aid goes to them and not to Hamas?
Well, that's uppermost in the minds of most senators right now. I'm not opposed to humanitarian aid. I am opposed to humanitarian aid that ends up in the hands of Hamas, which is used to kill more innocent people. And I'm not going to accept just turning this money over to the UN and trusting them to make sure that it gets to the right places. Frankly, though, John, there are two imperatives or issues that are especially important right now in terms of the circumstances we find ourselves in. And I'm talking about they need to be addressed today. Number one, we need to reject the nomination of Jack Lew to be ambassador to Israel. He's weak on Iran. He was one of the architects of the ill-considered deal that President Obama made with Iran that allowed them to have the strength to do what they're doing today. To his credit, Mr. Lew he's one of the smartest people on the planet. If you don't believe me, just ask him. To his detriment, how can I put this? If Mr. Lew had been in charge when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, he would have appointed a task force to find out what we did to appease to offend the Japanese. We need a strong, firm road warrior right now. We don't need somebody who believes in appeasement. Number two, President Biden's got to give a strong speech tonight. It's got to be firm and it's got to show resolve, because this is what our enemies see. These are just the facts. Our enemies, Russia, China, and Iran, the Ayatollah, they can read polls. They see that many Americans, fairly or unfairly, think that President Biden is older than the Adirondack Mountains and isn't really up to being president right now. Our enemies remember when President Biden cut and ran in Afghanistan. Our enemies know that President Biden has been reluctant to give Ukraine the weapons that it needs to win. Our enemies know that President Biden's administration has put sanctions on Iran, but they haven't really been enforcing them. Iran's making millions of dollars a day selling its oil, and we haven't done anything to stop them.
And now again, they can sell missiles because the United Nations sanctions on missile sales has just come off. As you just mentioned, Senator, the president's addressing the nation tonight. He's not going to talk just about Israel, but Ukraine as well. Critics, though, say that he's not doing enough on Iran, as you mentioned. One headline reads, "Visiting Israel is good, punishing Iran would be better." Another reads, "Time to stop appeasing terrorist Iran. Joe Biden's words in Israel were sorely needed." But what's his Iran plan? Republican Senator James Risch saying this. Listen here.
What happened in Gaza is directly linked to Iran. The Biden administration cannot wish away the Iranian threat or appease the Iranian regime with promises of unfrozen funds and sanctions relief. The attacks in Israel and reoccurring attacks against our partners, troops, and diplomats are proof of a failed Iran policy. Iran is the supporter of Hamas, which is impotent without Iran.
You introduced a bill yesterday. It's called the No Dollars for Dictators Act. What are you trying to do?
Several months ago, it wasn't well publicized, President Biden and Treasurer Yellen gave Iran $3.5 billion through the International Monetary Fund. And that's not the $6 billion that we have objected to. $3.5 billion cash. I'll be glad to come on your show and explain how they did that. I objected at the time. I tried to pass a bill to stop it. They rolled over me. The press didn't pick it up. But here's the problem we face right now. The time to build the ark is before the rain. And the Biden administration didn't do that. Instead of showing strength, they showed weakness. And the approach to Iran, to Ukraine, to China has been, they want to quote Socrates in the middle of a bar fight. We're in a bar fight here. And weakness invites the wolves. Peace through weakness doesn't work. And President Biden needs to be firm tonight. He needs to be resolute. And I'm sure Mr. Liu is a nice man, but he's got no business. He's got no business, given his record, being ambassador to Israel. The Israelis are not going to like him. He's the architect of the Iran giveaway under President Obama. We can do better.
You know, I was talking to the former ambassador, Danny Danon, last night. Israel is anxious to get a U.S. ambassador in place. So we'll see where this all goes moving forward. Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.